Hi, and welcome to another episode presented by yours truly, Cryptids Roost. Please be so kind as to throat punch the like button, and don't forget to smack the ass of that subscription button as well. This will help with YouTube's algorithm and will help promote the channel more. If you would like to support the channel and help make it grow, all gratefully received donations can be made to paypal.me/cryptidsroost. And don't forget to check out the merch store. All the links are listed below. So grab your coffee, sit back and enjoy the show. My job requires me to clean up Roadkill and hunt Cryptids, Part 2. This fantastic series is written by author Jojo, a wonderful author over on Reddit's NoSleep. It's hard to keep a social life with a job like this. Never mind not having time between both occupations. Trying to wipe the scent of dead roadkill or some creature's blood isn't an easy task. I honestly make good money, but I'm not sure what I'm making it for. My routine is to wake up and try my best to acquire some semblance of fresh. I'll go a couple of rounds with the punching bag. Sometimes I'll just sit and look at it. Memories can be draining. Some people work so they can live. More and more I'm discovering that I'm living to work. I find more comfort in the rides too, and from that I do sitting in my house. I won't beat around the bush either. There are nights after a rough hunt that leave me feeling like a badass, and I miss that feeling. As far as the 9 to 5 goes, it was a fairly slow day. I was even called to 2 separate places that ended up being just sick animals. I have to contact animal control in those scenarios, and then it's out of my hands. There was a skunk discarded into the brush off the interstate that a number of drivers were complaining about. The smell wasn't all that bad. Lord knows I've experienced worse. Squatting over the poor thing, I observed its wounds and considered what could have afflicted them and ignore the skunk's defense mechanisms. Most cryptids you will run across have their senses enhanced as they've evolved to avoid detection and hunt more dangerous prey. If I wanted to find the cause of the skunk's death, I would have to open it up, and that just wasn't going to happen. As I picked it up, however, it felt light, and its bones had clearly been cracked. Throwing it into the truck bed, I thought of the colossal viper, a massive snake that is able to, through sheer muscle power, burrow underground. It's presumed to either lack the ability to smell or deny it as a repellent. It will constrict its prey and pull its blood out using its fangs. The sheer strength of the thing would leave any animal broken. Wouldn't it be too outlandish to assume I'd be getting a call about it in the near future? If it came as close as it did to civilization, it could be a problem. How would I deal with something like that monstrosity? Lucky for me, my prey this night was something a little more docile and smaller than some Hollywood horror snake. I took the day's work and disposed of whatever I couldn't use, but the skunk went into storage. Its smell could be useful in the future, waste not and such. I got a call from my employer a few hours after getting home. It was a simple job, one that, if finished quickly enough, would allow me to take another. There are these little creatures called jobbins. I didn't name them. I have no idea where the name came from. As peaceful as a cryptid can be, they are almost kind in fact. You see, they'll sing for you. It's not a song you will enjoy, and for one reason or another, it'll enable you to enter sleep. Or if you're already sleeping, you'll be unable to wake up. Something about the frequency locking your brain state of awake. These are easy to get rid of. You just have to make them know that their presence is unwelcome. The reason I was even called in for this is that the caveat that comes with the jobbins. They are so docile that they are easy pickings for larger prey, mainly cryptids. So when the big boys hear the jobbins singing, they will culminate on the area in search of them. Even the apex of the cryptids can't resist their call. Makes you wonder what they taste like. I can tell you now, if the jobbins were to attract the attention of the ever-exclusive BF, I'd be going radio silent for a few days. That is one job I'm not willing to take. My rule is if something can chuck a tree at me, I'm going to avoid it. So, like any rational hunter, this is a job I jumped on quick. Easy money, no fuss. I drove until I saw the distinct red light the jobbins give off. The best visual I can give you is, imagine red lightning bugs with tiny little feelers. Their singing is created by the rapid movement of their wings. God, is it annoying to hear a whole cluster of them. I wrapped a towel around the nearest branch I could find and doused it in lighter fluid with a dab of vanilla extract. It has to be straight from the bean, nothing artificial. Lighting it on fire, I made my way to the group, waving it around like I was trying to knock down cobwebs. The group of jobbins' song grew louder as they scattered into the woods. I'd have to leave the stick burning on the ground in case they returned. Smelled a bit like homemade cookies. Life would be much easier if each hunt exhibited the same degrees of simplicity. It was actually pretty watching their lights dance into the darkness. These creatures used to be a larger concern. People would mistake the glow of their bodies for the glowing of red eyes peering at them. They believed the song to be some howl to call a pact or to signify what they had found dinner. Nope, just very large bugs. I stuck around the site, sitting in my truck, to make sure that nothing unsavoury had followed the group of jobbins. Thankfully, I was able to leave that site without any incident. My next call came through the radio as I was leaving the site. The place was several dozen miles out, and I'd be cutting it close with the morning light. Luck so had it that I don't work my morning job tomorrow, and this cryptid is a very hyper one, to a fault. So I shifted Elvis into gear and made my way. Guided by my headlights, I watched the side of the roads. Not only did I not want to avoid causing roadkill, knowing what a pain in the ass it is, but a lot more dangerous fellas. A handful of hours passed before I reached my destination. Another stroke of luck was that the general supplies I had were enough to handle this hunt, so I didn't need to stop at home. I rolled up on a farmer's driveway. Hopping out, I was greeted with a thick and commanding voice. This man had been tending to the farm since he was 18. A worn and weathered face relayed to me those youthful days was many years ago. He informed me that he saw a small creature in his field and that it was leaving barren circles of corn. We don't normally discuss with clients unless their information is pertinent, but some of the tough-stomached ones don't mind a quick conversation. I assured him I'd take care of it and even jested that I'd try to avoid setting the field on fire. He told me that would be ideal and gave me a brief history of the cryptid's activities. With that, I headed into the field, supplies in tow. The small beam of my flashlight attempted to illuminate my way, but it seemed every ray was met by the cornstalk's resistance. It was hard to keep track of time. The field was so monotonous and the sky was still so dark. I had at least a good 2 hours before sunlight. I was pleased to make such good timing. During my walk, I made sure to note the location of the clearings the farmers mentioned. After passing my third one, I heard a clicking noise to my right, and at this time slowed my pace and flicked my flashlight off. Brushing aside sticks of corn as gently as I possibly could, I closed in on the rapid click. It's the same noise you'd get smacking dominoes together. The noise wasn't incredibly loud, but even as I stood just a few feet from it, I could see its faint outline through the obstructing vegetation. The furball was chewing away on a stalk of corn, devouring it from the bottom up. The less aggressive of cryptids tend to get names that lean towards cute. This is to sway the community's opinion on them. Things like jobbins, sugar creeps, and this here furball are typically herbivores. On rare occasions, however, a furball can become territorial if it finds a bountiful food source like the one we are in. Even though I had become still, it halted its feeding and became aware of me. Furballs have an unparalleled sense of sight. Looking at me, this thing could see me just as clear as if the sun was directly upon us, while all I could see was a tangle of outstretching thin tendrils that made up its hair. A furball, I could see the stalk of corn being clutched by its short stick-like limbs. It wasn't going to take long before it lunged at me. Furballs are typically harmless, but this one has been terrorizing the livestock and the farmers' daily operations, not to mention ruining large plots of the crop by eating them. They aren't something I can just put a bullet into. Their bodies are 90% hair. Even the limbs are made from longer, harder fibers of hair. I'd only get one shot before it scurried off, and I wouldn't be able to trap it like I did my last hunt. No, this one was going to be trying to chase me. Quickly I flicked my flashlight in its direction to agitate it and began to run away. I could hear the tumbling line of dominoes as its short legs paddled after me. Furballs are bundles of energy just as much as they are fluff. Their movements are sporadic and unpredictable. Whenever it caught up, it would jump across my path and take a swing at my legs, or get brazen and leap to my chest. I had to wince and ignore the slicing of flesh whenever it managed to land a hit on me. I was sure to wear something loose to snag its attacks. Foresight. It only came up to about my thighs. With its height, so much of the strikes were around my ankle. It felt like running through an upset rose bush. I continued though, as if I stopped I'd get the worst of it for sure, so my arms and legs kept pumping, cool air pressing my wounds. Just when I thought my knees might buckle under the strain, a minor blood loss, which I'd never been good with, go figure, we came across a larger circular clearing where all the stalks had been ripped up and eaten for the furball's dangerously high metabolism. Reaching into the pocket of my blue jeans, I pulled out a pill bottle-sized cylinder of metal. My finger reached into the metal pin and pulled it loose. Straining my body as much as I could, I whipped the stun grenade high above the cornfield. I hoped it was far enough to avoid any ignition. Once thrown, I spun around and threw myself to the ground, burying my face in what was left of the cornstalks and pulling my shirt over my eyes. Even with all that, my eyes squeezed tight, my eyelids still illuminated a bright pink, and my ears still rang heavy from the blast. I'd be sure to apologize to the farmer for stirring his livestock. My issues were nothing compared to the furball's hypersensitive eyesight. It would be rendered useless for a good while. When you have something as efficient as the furball's eyes are, you tend to lean on it. That and its energy was spent chasing, and it didn't have enough energy now to even try stumbling away, even in some haphazard direction. The quickest and most painless way for me to kill it was by just letting it starve. They have to eat pretty consistently, or their active metabolism shuts down in around 30 minutes and dissolves what little muscle mass they have. It sounds terrible, but it really is a quiet and quick way for them to pass on, and if I had the choice, that's the one I go with. I've heard enough horror stories about hunters that like to play with their hunts, drag it out. That's not who I am. So I sat with it, watching its fur swaying with each gust that rushed through the cornfield, accompanied by a soft rustling. As its body was shutting down, the arms and legs began to unravel and resemble the rest of its hair. The sun was coming up by then, and I had actually forgotten their fur is brown, not black like the night suggests. When its body had given up searching for fuel, I watched its hair separate from the form and drift into the morning's winds until nothing was left. Nothing but its eyes. the only part of its functioning body that wasn't in some manner made up of hair. I don't like killing most of the cryptids I come across. Hell, if there were more peaceful solutions, I would pursue them. Cryptids, they end up taking people from their family, one way or another. Even the jobbins can keep someone asleep so long that their body gives up, similar to the furball that had been across from me. I have to stop these situations before they occur. I once lacked foresight, but no longer. I cleaned up the scene, ears still ringing. I placed the furball's glass-like eyes into a plastic bag. They would be iced in the cooler. Couldn't help but notice the clearing looked like a damn lot from Crop Circle. Aliens, what a joke. Typing all these cryptids names reminded me I haven't actually introduced myself yet. My name is Jack.
Wow, that was a fantastic story. And if you enjoyed listening to this chronicle, be sure to pop over to the author's Reddit profile, author Jojo, and drop them a line, or even give them a glowing review. The link to their Reddit profile will be below in the description. And if you enjoyed my narration, then please feel free to like and share the video, leave a comment below, and don't forget to hit the subscribe button and tap the notification bell, and then select all. That way you'll receive all notifications each time I upload a new video. Please be so kind as to visit our merchandise store and grab yourself a t-shirt, face mask, mug, hoodie, or whatever else grabs your fancy. There's plenty there to choose from. The link will be in the description. And if you'd like an honourable mention, send in a snapshot of yourself with your purchase from the merch store, and I'll feature it in one of my videos. You can submit your stories and encounters to cryptidsroost@gmail.com. And if you wish to remain anonymous, that's fine with me. Now, I've also got a Facebook group, Twitter, Reddit, and you'll also find me on Discord. And if you'd like to support this channel and help make it grow, my PayPal is paypal.me/cryptidsroost. Again, that'll also be below. And don't forget, where fear is, happiness is not.